Okay, I move to open the Board of Selectmen meeting for Wednesday, July 8th, 6:30.
Seconded.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. Okay, opening comments. At last week's Board of Selectmen's meeting, it was announced that there was a vacant seat on the Board of Assessors. Details on how to apply for this seat are listed on our town website and town hall Facebook page. The deadline to submit your interest is Monday, July 20th by 5 p.m. And I think, Tony, you wanted to add to that?
Yes, we had planning board. There's Selectman Canty, formerly of the planning board, now as selectman, as member of the Board of Selectmen. His seat becomes vacant on the planning board, so that seat needs to be replaced, and it follows section 313 of the charter, just like the Board of Assessors seat, which means it's a joint vote of the selectmen and the remaining members of the planning board to appoint somebody to fill that seat up until next election, when that person will then that seat will be up for the remaining years of the term.
Okay.
So we can post that again. We can post about the planning board seat tomorrow, and what we'll post similarly is anybody interested in being appointed to the planning board to submit a cover letter and resume by Monday the 20th to all the members of the Board of Selectmen, all the members of the planning board, and Bobby Joe, your administrative assistant. And then on Wednesday, the 22nd, that's our next Board of Selectmen meeting, we will announce those that have submitted interest for both the assessor and the planning board. And then the following meeting, August 5th, we'll have a joint meeting with the planning board and the assessor to vote on who to appoint for that seat. And we'll post that on the website and on Facebook tomorrow.
Sounds good. Let's move on to new business under tab 3A, a vote to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the Department of Public Works. You want to talk about that, Tony?
Yeah, again, unfortunately, I'm going to have to bump it to next week because the language needed some changes, and I just got it, and I'm sending it over to them right now, or before I leave tonight. So, but we have sat down and we have agreed verbally to the terms. It just needs to be written up appropriately. So,
okay.
Our
Sounds
next
good.
meeting is the 22nd, so hopefully we'll be able to vote on the 22nd.
yes.
Okay, under tab 3B, a vote to approve the FY21 water, sewer, and trash rates. I have a motion for that.
Yes, I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the fiscal year 21 water rate of $9.37 and the fiscal year 21 sewer rate of $11.89.
Seconded.
Seconded. Any discussion on the matter? Tony?
Yes. So these rates, this is a little different than usual. Usually this time around, the Board of Selectmen are also voting on the debt shift as well. But because we haven't had town meeting yet, and we haven't voted on the potential additional borrowing for sewer work, that's not included in this vote right here. But these are the estimated rates based on last year's usage. So, and for sewer, I think over the last couple of years, there is an increase here from about 5% increase on the combined rate. A lot of this increase has to do with the increase in costs associated with Lynn Water Sewer and with the shutdown of Gorelick Farm. Actually, multiple conversations about this over the past few months. We actually saw our prices go up in the past fiscal year, and we had to adjust for that because of that sudden shutdown. So we we tried to do some adjustments in the budget that we're proposing for FY21 to try to soften the blow of the increase in these assessments. And we reduced some of our expenses under Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund to try to keep these rates from climbing, exponentially. So there is a slight increase here of about 5%.
Okay, so just to explain that a little bit more, so when Lynn's usage goes down, so basically the participating communities, Lynn, Saugus, Swampscott, and Nahant, we all pay as a percentage of our wastewater that we produce. And so if one of them goes down, then that means the percentage for everybody else will go up. And I think that's what happened in Lynn, Tony?
Yeah, Gorelick Farms is the biggest single user out of all 4 communities. So when they shut down, it shifted, Swampscott, Saugus, and Nahant all saw significant increases.
All right, so it's not something that the town did or didn't do. It was just a matter of circumstances.
The balance, yeah.
Okay, you meet regularly with our other communities?
Yeah, we meet once a month. It's slowed down due to COVID, but we were meeting once a month with the other communities and Lynn Water Sewer.
Good.
We do have contract negotiations there that are coming up that we have to work with. We're going to have to get together with the other 2 communities and maybe jointly hire labor council to help negotiate on behalf of Swampscott, Saugus, and Nahant. But I'll keep you informed as we get through that process.
I think that's a good idea, Tony. Yeah, I mean, we're stronger together, with the 3 communities that we are alone, and we're just trying to do what is right here. So I think that's probably a pretty good idea. Any other discussion on this?
Yeah, just quickly, really for the public, obviously we have water meters on our supply, but we don't have water meters on our sewage. So whatever conservation you can make on your water usage gets reflected, on your water bill. In addition to that, there might be people that innocently have their basement sump pumps connected into their sewer systems. And we pay for that on a per gallon basis. So that's not where your sump pumps should be discharging. It's not sewage, and so when we pump into the sewer system with things like basement sump pumps, we're all paying for that. So please, if you have that situation, rectify it for all our benefits.
Okay. Any further discussion on this, on the motion? All right, all in favor?
Josh Effermy?
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen and I. Item 3C, Board of Selectmen to approve auction application. Do I have a motion for that?
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve an auction to be held at 68 Wilson Road on Saturday, July 25th.
I'll second that.
Seconded. Any discussion on the motion? I know Dan, town council, is here.
Dan and John are on the call, and the application included, COVID-related, setup. So John can talk to that, but Dan can talk to the legal part of this process.
The selectmen can authorize anyone to have a private auction, in fact, in town, or they can do that, what you're doing tonight, which is great, or they could designate someone to do that for them. So every time someone comes up for an auction, they don't have to go to the Board of Selectmen every time, and the Selectmen don't have to address it every time. So tonight, I think they're just approving the application that was filed for 68 Wilson Road for July 25th, which is perfectly fine. In the future, the Selectmen can authorize an agent to do that very thing, to take it off their plate.
Is that an auction for anything?
It's specifically an auction. Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again, please.
I'm unfamiliar with the need to have a vote on an auction. And I'm saying is that for anything that's auctioned off, whether it be goods or services or a house or whatever it might be?
Technically, it's any auction. It's similar to, take a silly example, a lemonade stand. Technically, that needs a permit. Now, it's silly in practical terms to really think that way, but the fact is it's someone selling someone for profit in the town. This is nothing more than that. And there's a specific chapter in the Mass General Laws, Chapter 100, that deals with auctions. Chapter 10 of that section requires a permit issued by the designated person from the Board of Selectmen or the Selectmen themselves, or if no one's appointed, then it could go to the police chief, actually. So Gene, yeah, it needs to be, it could be pretty much any auction. In fact, auctioneers to be certified by the state. So it's a pretty regulated area, more than I actually thought when I first saw this come through our desk.
Oh, great, thanks.
Sure.
We received a very professional and thorough request for this application, which is appreciated. In this particular case, I think it was primarily for auctioning off a dining room set. So,
right, exactly.
I can read some of the details that were included in that. So in accordance with COVID-19 guidelines, the auctioneer is going to have only 5 guests at a time during a series of preview visits where the bidders would preview for 1 half-hour interval and write and post their sealed bids. Masks and gloves will be provided for use by all visitors to the previews, and safe distancing of visitors will be monitored by the auctioneer as well as the owner of the property. And at the end of the previews and hopefully in possession of sealed bids from interested buyers, they'll contact the winners and items will be removed within 48 hours of the successful bidder. So, John, I don't know if you want to say any words on that, but it seems like they have everything in line appropriately.
I agree. It was very professionally presented, and I saw no reason to edit or deny. I approved it as I received it, and it should be a very well-run event.
I agree. I was very satisfied with the application. I think it'll be minimal disruption.
Sounds good. Any further discussion on motion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor?
Josh Edramai.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen, aye. Going on to tab 4, ongoing business. This has to do with the Board of Selectmen's second statement, preserving East Point. Do I have a motion on this, please?
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the second statement from the Board of Selectmen preserving East Point.
I'll second that.
Second for discussion. Again, this is simply a vote. And last week, or actually 2 weeks ago, we began this process. 3 weeks ago, we began this process. This is a second statement that's been issued by the Board of Selectmen regarding what's going on at Northeastern and our thinking about it. It probably won't be the last statement that we see. There could be a third and fourth, or maybe even a fifth. But as information becomes more available, as we consult with our professionals and gain more information, we will be releasing statements as we go forward. This is simply a vote to make sure that the current members of the Board of Selectmen are in agreement with the contents of this statement. Again, I don't believe anything has changed since last week when we posted a draft statement on the town's website. So I'm gonna open this up for discussion. I know that there were some people in the community that may want to talk about it before we vote on it, and that's fine with me. But let's have the discussion on the board first, and then we can, listen to anybody in the community that may have a question for us.
If I could,
Oh, go ahead, Gene.
Go ahead, Jane.
see, if I could, I think that the public should know that this is an informational piece. It's subject to change and review and re-review until we have what we consider to be a votable article at town meeting. This is just everything we can throw out so that we educate and provide an informational piece. That's how I see it.
Josh?
Yeah, I just echoing really this similar sentiment. This is really intended to be a sharing of the facts in the spirit of transparency. I hope people take the opportunity to read through it. If they have any questions, feel free to email them to us. And as the document needs revision, updating, any missing pieces that anybody might identify, we'll attempt to address. But this is all in the spirit of transparency and open communication and education and presenting of facts and figures.
Absolutely.
Anybody from the, Tony, can we invite anybody from the community to chime in?
Yes, anyone that's on right now, you can either provide a comment in the chat group if you're on Zoom, or you can unmute yourself if you'd like to speak.
Tony?
Yep, Karen?
Yeah, this is Karen Callanan. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Mhm.
Okay, because sometimes I haven't been able to hear everybody tonight, but I'm just asking a question as to whether or not the selectmen, I sent an email to all the selectmen and to Tony late this afternoon, and I just want to confirm that all three of the selectmen got it. I know Tony did receive it. I know
Yes.
it's short notice. I apologize for that, but
I did receive it, Karen, and I actually both of your emails, and I believe the other members have received it. I mean, some of the questions that you had were sort of open-ended, and some of them were specific that I certainly could address tonight if you like. But if you have questions, throw them out.
well, I think my intent in sending them, on paper, and my preference would be that, I mean, you the three of you have, and Tony have the complete set of questions that I forwarded. So I would prefer that you either go through them, or if you're not able to answer all of them at this point, make sure there's an opportunity for you to communicate them back at another time, your answers or your responses. I think they're pretty strict. So
I'd be glad to do that.
and okay, and
Is there anything specific you wanted to speak to tonight, Karen?
well, I consider, and as do many of the concerned people, consider all of the questions that were contained in the emails are equally important. So I wouldn't personally pick and choose one at this. They're all equally important from perspective of many concerned residents. So,
Karen, I'm not sure why, this is Gene, but I didn't get a copy of that. And I suppose I would like to have the opportunity to get a copy and go through it, and maybe at our next session discuss it.
okay, yeah, Gene, I'm sorry. I looked for your email on the website, the Nahant.org, and I thought, is it gcanty@nahant.org?
I believe that is going to be my new email address. Is that right, Tony?
Yes. If you're having issues logging in, we can help you with that tomorrow.
Okay, I would. Yeah, I'd like that.
Okay, why don't we do this then? Let's make sure Gene gets a copy. And Dan, I'm going to ask you, so if each of the members of the board could respond individually, could they send them to me, their responses to me, so that I can put a response together for our next meeting?
Exactly. I think that's the best way to go, Mark, and we can consult with a special counsel in that regard as well.
Okay.
Okay, Dan, I apologize. Do you have a copy?
I'll grab one from Tony. Don't worry about it. Thanks a lot, Karen.
Okay, and then I didn't hear in the very, very beginning, is there a date set for the next Selectmen's meeting?
22nd.
Is there a date set for the next Selectmen's meeting?
The 22nd.
July
Oh,
22nd.
sorry. All right, July 22nd?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, I think that's a good way to handle it, because like I said, I wouldn't pick and choose. I would,
Okay.
those are all important things that the community is very interested in getting
Yeah,
some.
no, I would agree, Karen, and I'd be glad to try to pull all the answers together the best we can.
Okay,
All right, but we're going to have a vote on this tonight, so we'll call vote on this.
You might have some more people.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
There's a question in the chat group. Ken Carangelo's asking if, I don't know, Ken, are you on the phone or can you speak up or? He says too noisy. So he had asked, sorry if I missed something. Is there a financial analysis completed for this? So I guess, do you want to answer that? I mean, there's a financial analysis included in it.
As Gene said that this is an ongoing process, so this is not a final analysis. This is an analysis of the information that we've had to date, as best we could. As you know, there's other documents that will be coming within a week or two that the board will look at, and that is an independent financial analysis being done by KP Law. So that will be an important document to look at. We'll probably have KP Law in at our meeting, hopefully at our next meeting. If perhaps they could go through their report. We are also working with other professionals, both legal and, as you know, we're getting a second appraisal done for the property. That hasn't been completed yet. So as this information comes in, we'll use it to try to fine tune our analysis as we go forward.
Mark,
Yeah.
This is Karen. I had to just follow up on one of your comments a minute ago. KP Law, you said, is doing an analysis, and I get, which sounds like an okay idea, except that, are you considering them as an independent, unbiased resource for the Board of Selectmen? Because for this purpose, for the purpose of giving an analysis, because they do represent the town, so they are not independent and unbiased.
I consider them independent. You know, I haven't had personal contact with KP Law regarding this. I'm staying out of it. I'm not trying to influence their analysis. But you know, I do consider them independent. I looked at the group that is doing it at KP Law. They have a sort of a municipal finance sector at KP Law that does this type of stuff. They seem well experienced, and their qualifications seem good to me.
Yeah, I'm not questioning their expertise or their experience. I'm questioning whether or not, because they, the firm, the entire firm, I believe, aren't they representing the town of Nahant for many things, which means I'm not sure they're unbiased or independent. So my question is, and I think you may have started to explain a minute ago, that there's some thought given to some other, considering other outside firms to do the analysis. Because
we're having an independent appraisal done. As you know, we've had one appraisal complete.
yeah, well, that's different than the financial analysis.
well, it will contribute into the financial. You need that information to do a complete financial analysis. You need to know what the potential costs may be in order to analyze what's going to happen. And we're also working with a independent eminent domain attorney that is experienced in this field. So again, that information is coming in. We're going to be looking at it all. We hope to get as much information, factual information out as possible. As you know, Karen, I've spent half of my professional career making sure that I was financially responsible to this town, and I'm not going to stop now. I've balanced over 17 budgets, and we've been able to keep the town's tax rate one of the lowest in Essex County, and I'm going to continue to strive to do that. And I'm going to make sure that I am going to commit to a responsible financial analysis.
Is this something, these analyses that we're just talking about, regardless of what type they are, the ones you just mentioned, are any of them or some of them subject to a bidding process, required of a bidding process?
Tony, you want to take that?
I guess I don't think that they are, unless is Dan still on the? Dan,
I am.
I don't think that they are unless it was, over a certain threshold of dollars. But
Yeah, Karen, I'm not quite sure. I think you're talking about 40B, the procurement chapter in Mass General Laws, and I'm not certain this applies to that sort of stuff. But I don't want to say it doesn't. I haven't seen that report just yet. But it's a great question. But of course, if it does apply, then of course there will be bidding and RFPs and whatnot. So don't be concerned about that. That's
well, maybe
part of
someone
40B.
could clarify that, just so as taxpayers we understand whether or not any of the reports or special analysis that are being requested, if they are required to be put out to bid, so that we as taxpayers know that.
I can tell you that services for attorneys, town council, special town council, things like that are not subject to 40B.
Okay.
So, and I think that's where this might fall, Karen. I'm not exactly sure, but I think that's where this might fall. But there's a list of things like waste management is not subject to 40B. Engineering, not subject to 40B. Lawyering is in that sort of group of, I think, 39 categories.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dan, I did serve as procurement officer for the town for a good many years, and it's actually 30B, that chapter 30B we're talking about.
Sorry, 30B.
These services do not have to go out to bid.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
There is more activity in the chat. Do you have the ability to see that, Mark or Josh?
I don't see it.
If you scroll over to the bottom of the Zoom app, there's a button in the middle that says chat, and it should pop up on the right side. After Ken's last question, Michelle Capano posted the link in the chat group that folks can click on to get to the draft statement. Then Ken asked, will the FinCom review it before the Board of Selectmen votes? More specifically, will they provide a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen?
I would hope, Tony, that when KP Law finishes their analysis, that we would invite FinCom in to the meeting, and we could have a joint meeting with FinCom regarding their report.
Yeah, maybe Ken can specify votes on what. I mean, we're just voting on whether we agree with the statement and whether it should be continued to be posted on the Nahant.org website to provide information for people. Are you, Ken, are you asking something else? Because there's no other vote from the BOS on this statement, and the vote on the CPC application is a town voter vote, not a BOS vote.
He hasn't responded. I don't, Ken, formerly of the FinCom, might be familiar, maybe, I don't know, he's probably familiar with the process there, and I don't know if Ken, I don't know if you're getting it confused with the other analysis that Mark was just talking about that KP Law is hired to do. That is a result of the FinCom requesting the Board of Selectmen to hire a consultant to do that analysis. And once that's completed, that would be presented back to the FinCom. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, that's my understanding of it, Tony.
We have another statement on here from Cora Long. It's more of a statement than a question, but Cora, can you speak over the phone?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so my question was, there are many open spaces in Nahant, and one in particular is the golf course, Kelly Greens, owned by the town, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is there some way we can find out when that was acquired and how much that cost our residents on their tax bill?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think that, and my reason for asking is it's a great resource. And the fact that we did that for Kelly Greens, I think telling our grandkids and great grandkids that we did the same thing for Northeastern would be great 10 or 20 or 30 years from now.
Well, I can speak to it in very vague terms. I think it was around 1992. Mark, you probably know better, but I think it was around 1992. And I think the purchase price was about $1.25 million. And in today's dollars, that's somewhere around $3 million. And that was done on the obviously predated CPC funding, so there was no state match. So as a direct comparison to the East Point question, it's in today's dollars approximately $3 million with no state aid, and I guess that's about it. I think
Okay, so I guess my question would be, so it costs the residents on their tax bill for a certain number of years.
Correct.
Do we have those figures? I'd like to know, did it cost $50 a year for 30 years or $500 a year for 10 years?
I can definitely provide you the debt schedule for that $1.25 million borrowing. I believe it was in 1992, and I believe it was a 20-year bond, but I believe it's been paid off since. I think we recently retired it. Excuse me, I think it was a 10-year bond, and we retired it in 2000.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's no longer we're no longer paying it off. And I don't know, was some of that offset with the revenue generated from the golf course, or was it all to the tax base?
Well, the revenue generated by the golf course didn't happen right away. There was a number of years between the town buying it and it getting up and operating again. We could look at that, but the revenues generated by the golf course do not necessarily go to pay off the debt. They go to the general fund.
Right.
And then from the general fund, the town votes to decide how they use that revenue.
That money, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make the point that, it's a great resource. I'm glad that we purchased it at that time and we still have it. And I'm hoping that we can do the same for Northeastern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just some quick math, very quick and very rough math. Depending on if it was a 10-year bond, it was probably somewhere between $130 and $188 per household per year. But obviously, we can get you some better numbers, but that's just me quickly poking at the calculator while you spoke.
Okay, great.
had a
I
question.
appreciate that, Josh. But for how many years would that have been? For the 10-year bond?
It might have been a 20-year bond.
Okay.
I believe 20 years.
Great, thank you.
And I had a follow-up question on that. When the golf course was it acquired by the town back in the 90s, early 90s?
Yep,
But-
1992, yeah.
Was it acquired through the process of an eminent domain taking?
It was the owners at the time. The town had informed the owners that either to sell it or the town was going to take it by eminent domain, one or the other, and the owners decided to sell it.
All right, so you were able to the town was able to purchase this outright at that point in time, and there was no need or effort related to it regarding eminent domain.
That's correct, Cal.
The town wasn't able to purchase it outright at that time, but they did it to avoid having a developer come in and create home sites on that property.
Karen's correct. There was no eminent domain on the golf course. It was a negotiated settlement between the town and the owners.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
It had the similarity that it was a threat to develop the area, right?
Correct.
That has that common
Correct.
in today's
Yeah,
situation.
but you didn't incur the cost, the town didn't incur the cost of an eminent domain proceeding.
Well,
Obviously.
we paid $1.25 million for it. And I don't know what we would have paid for it if we took it by eminent domain.
There's nothing else in the chat group.
All right, can I have a roll call vote on this?
Josh Effermy?
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen, aye. Let's see. I would, 4B is the approval of the appointment of the treasurer collector. Can I have a motion on that, please?
I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the appointment of Brendan Carity
Correct.
as the treasurer pardon?
Correct.
Correct.
Correct. Brendan Corrett as the treasurer collector for fiscal year 2021.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Any discussion on the motion?
I could just explain quickly that our charter, section 4.1, requires that the town treasurer and collector be appointed by the Board of Selectmen for a term of 1 year. I think it's the only appointed position that calls out for a 1-year annual appointment process by the Board of Selectmen. So I'll say this is Brendan's second year, will be his first, actual full year, and has been doing a great job.
Yeah.
I appreciate the support of the selectmen on this appointment.
Yeah.
Question for town council, Tony. Could this be changed to a home rule petition? Where we could award a 3-year contract or something along those lines?
A home rule petition, we're asking for what, Mark?
Well, go ahead, Tony, you're about ready to say something here.
I think the answer is yes. I think you could do a home rule petition to change, one part of the charter. There's 2 ways. I think my understanding is there's 2 ways to amend the charter. It's either you create a charter commission, or you can do by home rule petition.
Correct.
So you could change this through home rule petition, through a warrant article at town meeting, and then it would have to go through the legislative process.
I only bring that up because it's such a professional position, and I'd hate to have someone sitting in that position, thinking every year whether or not he's going with a family, whether or not he's going to be reappointed. And it's a tough situation to be in. So maybe we could look into that, the other members of the board, and take a look at that.
Yeah, that
Be
should
happy to.
be an easy fix.
Any further discussion?
I just add, I don't spent a lot of time at town hall, but in my experience with Brendan, I've always found him to be very professional, polite, and pleasant. And so I think that's what we all expect from our public employees. So certainly appreciate that from Brendan as well.
Great. Any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Josh Everett, aye.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullinan, aye. Tony, before we go on to the town administrator's report, I'm sorry that I forgot to go to tab 2, opening comments. I just want to say that, as you all know, we had a recount. I think the only recount in the town of Nahant that I can remember. No, actually, it's the second one that I remember. But I just want to say to both of the candidates, you both handled yourselves exceedingly well, I thought, through the whole process. You were both gentlemen. You both had the best of Nahant in your hearts, and I appreciate you guys stepping up. And I also want to tell Diane Dunphy and her crew what a great job they did. I didn't go to it. I saw the pictures. It looked well organized. The people I talked to were very happy with the process and how it was handled. So again, my shout out to Diane's group for doing such a great job. And thanks to both Dave Walsh and to Gene.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else have an opening comment? I'm sorry, I skipped that. Okay, great. All right, town administrator's report.
Okay, so first on my list here is to talk about the cost impact of the coronavirus to this point. We still anticipate additional costs. For example, town meeting, not being able to have it here in the town hall due to COVID guidelines, needing more space and having more people for the amount of people that we anticipate coming. Those will be additional costs. But we've spent almost around about $130 thousand so far on COVID related costs. And that includes stuff from staff time like John, Dan, our health nurse, Deb Murphy, all the way to costs associated with laptops or phones or things that allowed us to work remotely, to supplies of hand sanitizer, signage, gloves, masks, PPE for police and fire, a number of different things. And so far we've received around $62,000 or $64,000 in reimbursement through the CARES Act. So about half of what we've spent already has been reimbursed. And there's more reimbursement coming through FEMA and additional CARES Act money under fiscal year 21. Vicki has been taking the lead for us on working with Debbie Waters and Mary Lowe, who've been doing a great job as well, keeping everything organized so that we can properly apply for those reimbursements through FEMA and through the DOR for the CARES Act money. Vicki, do you want to say a couple things?
Well, that's a good summary. That about sums up the numbers. I guess the big takeaway on this one is there's many reimbursement sources. So the trick is figuring out who's going to pay you for what. So CARES basically said whatever FEMA won't cover, we will cover, essentially. And they'll also cover the 25% town match. Town usually has to come up with 25% on FEMA projects. But CARES is covering that 25%, which is awesome. There's also a fire grant that the fire department applied for. There's a public health grant. So we're trying to, you can't double dip. So if a cost, is reimbursed through a fire grant, we need to make sure it doesn't go through to FEMA and et cetera. But we have a good handle on it, and we're trying to just keep on it as you're incurring expense, just keep documenting and keeping it in the pipeline so we can get you guys money back as soon as practical.
Vicki, is the CARES Act is that state or federal?
State.
And so it's a state funding.
It's managed by the state. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
it's a federal act managed by the state.
Right.
Federally,
Federal
yeah, federal act, federally approved, managed by the state.
Right.
Okay.
When we first went into this public health emergency, we actually had to go to the Department of Revenue and ask for an authority to deficit spend under COVID, and we got $150,000. And we spent about $130,000, but with the CARES Act, the 60-something thousand dollars that came in under CARES Act, we can take, half of that, charge it off to CARES, and not have to go for additional authority under with DOR, I believe. So, thank you, Vicki,
Yeah.
for all your work on it.
Sure.
Gene or Josh, do you have any questions about the process?
No, just good job keeping track of all that stuff. And it's good to hear from Vicki that much, if not all of this, is reimbursable. So
Thank you, Vicki.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Vicki.
You're welcome.
Next on the report is the Northern Strand Extension Project. City of Lynn with Stan Tech is developing a bike path that right now they are finishing the construction phase of the segment prior to what they sent us an email about. That bike path, that construction ends at around Market Basket in Lynn. And the next section will follow down Common Street and then Market Street, and then take a left on the Linway and head over to right around the Rotary and basically land at the beach there. I did reach out to I'm just trying to pull up my email here. I reached out to Mayor McGee's office today to ask for a little bit of additional information about what the process is going to entail. So what I got back was there will be public meetings during the 25% phase of the project. They've submitted the 25% design plans and documents to Mass DOT last week. So they'll get some review from DOT about highway standards, parkway standards, and how it's going to be integrated in with the streets like the Linway that falls under DOT and DCR. Then once at that point, there'll be a MassDOT design public hearing before the plans could advance to 75% design phase, where they'll solicit public comment and public record. So they anticipate the review stretching into the fall, with the public hearing likely over the winter. So we can take this letter and put it on our website, and with that information, and as we get confirmed dates, we'll put that up there as well, so that people of Nahant are aware of when those meetings are occurring and how they can provide comment if they wish.
And Tony, let me just comment here that I've been following this project for the last 2 or 3 years. Most of the meetings are being held at the Lynn Historical building in Central Square area. It's a great project. I think I've actually ridden it from Everett to Western Ave and Lynn. Some of it is surface, some of it isn't. Most of it is not within traffic lanes, so it has great potential. I did receive a letter from a resident today regarding some concerns. particularly on the Linway. Will they be shutting down a lane? How will that lane be protected? So those types of things I think will be determined as the project progresses. But I think it has great potential. I'm a supporter of this project 100%. Eventually, it will hook up to the Swampscott Rail Trail and to Marbleheads Rail Trail and over to with a linkage to Salem. So it has great potential, I think. And I'll be interested in attending some of those meetings.
For those of you that are on Zoom, I'm just sharing my screen. This is the proposed track from the rotary over by Market Basket down South Common Street, then up Market Street through downtown Lynn, crossing over by the Beacon Chevrolet development on the Linway, taking a left towards Nahant, and then kind of coming around the rotary. I'm talking to Mayor McGee's office quickly today. It seemed like there may be some shared usage of the Linway area, but on the rotary that they'd actually be diverted away from the rotary and be up in the green space a little bit there, and then cross over at the what's that called? The beach house there, the DCR house, and cross over to the beach there.
Okay. So Tony, if you could keep us posted on when those meetings and where they're going to be so that we can let the public know and they can attend.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Josh, Gene? Josh, you're a big biker.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I'll think about it.
I like Josh's comment earlier I saw. He said that he and his wife and his daughter did a cross-country bike trip, and the most difficult part was when they got to Lynn. So,
we did ride that stretch from Everett to through Saugus, which had just opened up. Wasn't even yet on Google Maps, but we happened upon it, and that was a nice relief because that can be a tough stretch.
yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, Tony. Town Hall.
There's a question from Alice Court in the chat group about it, asking, is the bike path in the general area where the Nahant sewer work is planned, will that be a problem? We'll just have to coordinate with the construction of this, along with the other development work that's happening on the Linway, Alice. I imagine, maybe where our temporary bypass would be laid out might be in the area, but we'll coordinate timing with them to make sure that it's not an issue. Next, Town Hall public hours of operation. So I just wanted to, bring this back up to make sure that the public was informed. Right now we're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to the public. Everyone that comes into the building is required to have a mask. There are ropes, velvet ropes, at the entry point to offices. We ask that people stay out in the hallway and interact with the workers from the doorway. And if there's anything that paperwork you need to fill out or submit, there's a table there, and there's tables out in the main hall. Most other communities don't have their town halls open to the public at all yet. But we are, we're eager to get back to full strength, but we're not quite there yet. So I just wanted to reiterate that we're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to the public. Normal hours, 7:30 to 4 o'clock Monday, Wednesday, and then 7:30 to 12:30 on Fridays.
Great, thank you, Tony. Let's see, Citizens Forum.
And anybody on the line can unmute and announce their name and address, and same thing in the group chat.
Hey, Tony, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, it's Michelle. I have a clarifying question. I know you talked earlier about some email that Karen sent to the Board of Selectmen, but I find it elusive not speaking or just, I don't know, expressing what those questions are, given it's a public meeting and you have a lot of people that are on who've made time to participate in the Board of Selectmen's meeting. I think it would be good if Karen would read that letter or email so people understand or summarize what some of those questions were. I know that the board will respond, but unless someone does a FOIA request to get the email, they won't know what those questions are.
Okay, Michelle,
Yes.
this is Karen. I think it would be up to the Board of Selectmen to decide when that information they could have talked about it tonight, but they're not going to. So why don't we wait till the next meeting?
I would respectfully disagree. You made it available in this public forum tonight that you sent a communication to the town with some questions regarding their statement number 2. And so I think for those that are on the phone or listening tonight, they should know what those questions are. And I think it's reasonable that you should express what those questions were so the public knows.
Well, we already discussed it with the selectmen. If they would like to post it, they're welcome to do that.
All right, we can do that, Karen. Thank you.
We could just sort of condense the questions down to, individual questions, so some editorializing along with them, and provide a response to each of the actual individual questions.
Josh?
Yep.
If they're going to go out, they need to go out as I've the whole communication as I sent them to the Board of Selectmen.
Sure.
It's not fair to have them just piecemealed. Whatever communication I sent needs to be there in full.
And it's not fair if you raise this communication and not speak to what those questions are.
Michelle, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You're
Sure.
fading out a bit.
All right, hold on here. So I heard Karen say that she'd be willing to have the board post the questions as she posted it, and I'd be glad to do that. Josh?
100% no editing.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
No problem. We can do that.
Okay. And Mark, will that be on the website, or where will that? I guess not.
Tony, where you want to put that?
I can put it, right next to where the draft statement is, so that they're, easy to find.
Okay.
Maybe I can write we can write public comment or something like that.
All right. Maybe we can attach the Board of Selectmen's responses to each of to Karen's note. Okay. Great.
And then I also have a question here from Joe Mellon asking to repeat where the auction will be. So the auction's going to take place at 68 Wilson Road, and it's going to take place on July 25th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. In the letter that they submitted to us, Joe, will they attach a copy of a handout that's going to be distributed as part of the advertising of the auction? So I think I can find out, but I think the idea is there'll be some type of public, whether it be in the newspaper or something. They're going to try to get as many people there as possible. So there'll be some type of signing up in order to go and to go look at that, to be part of the auction. Because of the COVID 5 guests at a time type thing, I assume there'll be some type of signing up.
Hey, Tony, it's Michelle. Can you clarify, is this an auction for foreclosed property, or is this just a private residents trying to sell their property and just they're doing it via auction?
It is the owner of the property at 68 Wilson Road has an elegant, classic, formal dining room set
Oh,
that is going to be put up to auction for sale to the public.
okay, so it's not the property, it's property in their home that they're selling. It's not the real estate.
Correct.
Okay.
Done it for me.
Okay, any other discussions on the citizen forum? Okay, hearing none, we can motion to adjourn.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to adjourn.
Seconded?
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Josh Ettermeyer.
Gene Canty, aye.
Mark Cullen, aye. Good night, everybody. Thanks.
Night. Thank you.
Peter, Peter, I don't know if you're still on or if you can hear me. I'll send you an email. Looks like you were asking for me to reach out to you about a skunk issue. So I'll send you an email.
Yeah, that'd be great. We can talk sometime when you have a chance.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.